Right, Tatiana, thank you so much for being here. It's a real pleasure to get to meet you. World's Natural Strongest Woman.
Yes.
It's an incredible title. It's an incredible title. And so, and I know you've just come back from Arnold's, which we've just been talking about in the first iteration. Let's talk through some of your trainings. I know, you were talking just a few moments ago in regards to some of the CrossFit training doing, the strongman training you're doing in the evening. Let's talk about through some of the structure of training that you do kind of go into a major competition like that.
Yeah. So usually my season finishes about September, October time. This year is a little bit later because I still got a couple more competitions to do this year. So I will start my preparation for the next season like in January. Like New Year comes in, I'll start my preparation. First 2-3 months, I'll just train the basic movements, lots of accessories just to get stronger. And then once the events are released for my first competition of the year, I will start preparing for that competition, like practicing the movements and getting stronger still with lots of accessory. As well as that, I like to train my conditioning, so I go to CrossFit Basingstoke. So I train there 5-6 times a week for CrossFit session, which I think really complements my training because I actually have noticed in the last 3 years I've been doing CrossFit, my upper body strength's just gone over the roof. Like I've added so much weight on my overhead press. It's just
so you think doing CrossFit has really made a big difference? Is it to do the technique, or is it to do the fact you've been training more consistently, or what do you think it is that's helped?
CrossFit is about repping, right? Repetitions. I don't think it's just the CrossFit. It's also my strength training and programming and everything. Because combination. It complements my strength training because I need to be able to be confident with my lifting when it comes to the strongman. But CrossFit allows me to learn how to adapt really quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you said you follow CrossFit.
I've done some CrossFit. Yeah.
So
I've never competed, but I've done it. I go to the gym every morning. So I used to go to CrossFit in Basingstoke with Nigel's place.
Yeah, that's where I go.
Oh, is it? That's where you go. Yeah. So
yeah.
Years ago, at the very beginning, I used to go there, do some of the early sessions. I'm talking years and years ago. I used to train with Nigel when he used to be over here, Wade Road, and then so I used to train. I'm talking years and years ago when they were first set up, I think.
Oh, they're still there. And
yeah,
Chris.
yeah. Are they still training there now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been all around the different gyms, but now I'm sort of very focused with James at Inner Athlete. I love James's place as well. So
it's very nice. I love going in there. Sometimes it's just too cold for my liking, but he knows that. But yeah, it's very different. James got a very different approach, and he's very caring too. And I like training under him. And to be honest, he's trained Farah, which was world's strongest woman. So come on, he must be doing something wrong. He's helped me to get to where I am now. Obviously thanks to the elite guys as well, because they've made me who I am, because I started with them, and obviously I trained my coach. I went from fitness experts, from boot camps to CrossFit, which just elevated my performance. So
I know a second ago we mentioned Farah. She was one of your inspirations. What do you think, watching what she did and the everything that you were able to see from afar, what sort of things do you think that she's you're able to learn from her from watching?
Just how do you say that word?
Hard work, relentless.
No. I can't think of the word. Sorry, not persistent. Just kind of balance.
Okay.
Not balance.
Consistency.
Consistency. Yeah. Consistency. That's what
I mean. You're really training. So you're doing the mornings. You're doing CrossFit in the mornings, then you're doing strongman in the evenings. So
strength training, yeah.
Strength training in the evenings. So there's a lot of consistency that you're building in.
And I used to coach spin classes twice a week as well, which I've given up now because it's just getting too much. Obviously, I've got 2 children, and it's just getting too much to try and fit everything in. So yeah, it's hard work sometimes. So yeah, running around, doing my training in the morning, dropping the kids to school, then going to work, coming back from work, pick up the kids from the school, start cooking dinner, and then being able to actually get out of the house to go and do my strength training, which sometimes takes 2.5 hours as well. So yeah,
It's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
This must be something that you really truly love.
I love it. Sometimes I hate it. Sometimes I get too tired, and when I've got lots of competitions, like last year, I had 2 back-to-back competitions within the 6 days, and I just got burned out, and my central nervous system's got a little bit fried, and I wasn't able to do anything properly for nearly 2 months. It was that bad.
Well, the training, especially lifting heavy, really heavy, like you do, it must have a significant impact on your body. So when you talked about your central nervous system having some issues, what happened there?
I did a competition which was quite heavy. Obviously, in 4 or 5 hours, you have to lift lots of heavy weights, and that affects your central nervous system. And I came back from competition. Obviously, I had to start running around the children, doing my old busy mum routine. Never really got time to recover after that competition, and going into the next one, and it's just hit me, and I burned out. I mean, I completed the competition. It was actually Europe's strongest woman in a natural strongman. Managed to come third, but it was hard work. I could just leave. I could feel my soul leaving my body throughout the day. It was that bad. Like I was in a pieces.
Was it just like an energy? It was just completely depleted, or just
depleted, really fatigued. It's just I hated even thinking going to gym. And when I went to gym 5 days later, I remember it was a CrossFit session. It was first. And we had to do some sit-ups and wobbles, which I did really light ones. And then it was mile run at the end. And I nearly didn't come back. I nearly walked back. I've made it back, but I came back and I crashed and I started crying. It was that bad.
Wow. I mean, that's total exhaustion, isn't it?
It was. I just felt bad, and I felt like I couldn't do it. It was very mentally challenging, because I knew I could do it, but my body wasn't allowing me to actually perform, because it was telling me like, stop, you need to rest. It's too early to come back yet. So yeah, I was very upset.
So what had led up to that physical mental crash that you had? What had you been doing? What competitions had you been doing leading into that? And for you to have been overtraining, or for it to have that sort of crash?
So last year was quite challenging, because we just came out of the lockdown and all the COVID, and all the competitions were pushed up towards the end of the year. So I was competing, let's say, every 4 to 6 weeks, and I had England, Brits. So I had 4 competitions within like 2-3 months.
Wow.
And then I went into the 5th competition the week after the non-tested Brits, which was super heavy. So I was training heavy, lifting heavy, competition was heavy, came back, didn't recover, and it was just, I got fried.
It's so much that you're putting on your body and your system over that period of time.
It is. I mean, I've never really thought how badly it can affect you, and obviously after that Europe's competition, I qualified for the World Championship. It was just week before the Christmas in Finland, and I could not start getting ready for it until like mid-November. I started actually lifting some weights. So I was quite pleased coming second in that competition. Yes, I did a couple of mistakes which costed me. I could have won, but my preparation was a roller coaster, because I used to come to the gym and I said, I can't lift it. Like lifting 120, 30 kilos deadlift was like lifting 200 kilos. Sometimes I couldn't get it off the floor.
So how did you then adjust? Was it just a matter of just taking some rest time, not training quite as regularly, and obviously that you're in main competition season? So I suppose that was also one of the things, is the fact that you had a really busy 3 4 months of competing.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of just taking your foot off the gas a little bit and just kind of relax it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's hard work, especially when you've got children and you can't. with the children, you can't be selfish,
No.
And it's very hard work. I mean, fortunately, my husband supports me quite a lot, and he cooks and he does everything around the house what he can to help me so I can rest up. When he sees that I'm completely depleted, he just sends me to bed, like go and rest. I'll do the dishes, let's say, So I do have quite a bit of support, but sometimes when he is at work, I end up running around. I've got no choice. So yeah, it's hard to
It must be really hard.
balance everything.
It is hard. I mean, I've got a little one, Logan, who's 2, and it's just hard to balance just life with a child. Of course, you've got 2 children. They're older now, of course. How old did you say they were?
11 and 9.
11 and 9. Okay, so they're older than mine. But it's hard having children, and then trying to have a career, and then trying to have I wouldn't even call it a hobby. This passion that you have to want to compete. There's just so much going on, isn't there?
Yeah.
It sounds you've got a really supportive husband.
Yes, and my friends, like my sister is here as well. She helps me, like if I need to look after the children, like I need to go to gym to train, so she'd be quite happy to have my children because she's got 2 herself, so they can play together. So she helps me quite a lot as well. And my friends, like sometimes I've got nowhere to have a children, and I don't want to drag them with me to the gym because it's not fair on them. So sometimes, my friends look after them, but it's not that often. I always try and work out the best way we can take turns with my husband. So so I do get time to spend with the children, and I'm not even talking about running after school clubs and their clubs, footballs, cricket, hockey and scouts, and running up and down. It's relentless.
Yeah. Sounds like you've got to have a really good support network, a good husband. And some patient children, probably, by the sounds of things.
Oh, my kids are very good, actually.
Yes.
Oh, sometimes they drive me mad, but like every children do, aren't they?
What are they like? Did they get to see you when you were at Arnold's this weekend? Did they go with you? Or?
No, they were it was just too busy. I mean, I walked through the place and I was like, oh, get out of my way. I just want to go through. It was too busy. And I don't think it was the right place for children to be.
Okay.
And they are not that interested in it. They don't understand it that well. They came to watch me actually in Britain's Natural Championship. With my sister came as well. She brought them in, and they came 5 minutes. Mummy, how are you doing? And they watched me for 5 minutes, and then went off. Oh, we are bored. So I tend to not to take them with me because it's not fair on them. It's something what I like, and I don't want to make them or force them to do something what they don't want to do. Or if I know that they're going to be bored there and I can't look after them because I need to focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Obviously lifting heavy weights, you don't want to get hurt. So you need to focus on what you're doing. So, yeah. I mean, I love them to bits, but it just puts pressure on everybody. It's easier if they looked after it.
Yeah, I to be honest, I'm the same with work and everything else, which is when I'm working, it's better just to focus and just get on. And then when you have the child to think about, naturally you're just thinking about the child, and there's no way. I've got a home, an office from home. It's really difficult because I might be working one day, talking to some of my clients, and then I've got little Logan who needs support and attention. He's knocking on the door, and then you're torn, and it's very, very difficult. So I can completely understand. You probably want to keep those 2 things separate, just so you can really focus on the day, because what you're focused on is, incredible and tough.
Yeah, they always wait when I come home from the competitions. Mommy, did you bring us a trophy? And they always go around like, oh yeah, I actually got 2 trophies which are the same, 2 different competitions. So one is silver and one is bronze. One is second place. No, one is first place and one is third place. Sorry. And my daughter comes to me, Mommy, you need a silver place now. I was like, no, I don't want a silver place. I want the gold one. I don't care if they're the same, but we want the gold. We don't want a silver. But yeah, bless her. Yeah, she's a little bit like me. She's quite sporty. Yeah, I think she's gonna be some sort of sports person.
Yeah. Do you think she'll follow at all in your footsteps? I mean, you were talking about, before in the first iteration, the first recording that we did, you were talking about, growing up in Slovakia and in your schooling in Slovakia, and you went off and did sort of 4 years it was in the different schools. Mm-hmm. doing more athletics. Do you think one of the children might go on that direction with follow mummy?
I think my daughter will be. She's more interested in sport than my son. My son is actually very, very good in history. So, but he did ask for swimming or badminton. You know, more or less. But my daughter, more or less physical activity, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like contact. Like Antonia, she is very. I want to play football. I want to play hockey. Next year, I want to try rugby. So yeah, I think she'll be more like myself. But then again, if they want to try it, I'm not going to stop them. If they don't want to try it, I'm not going to push them. So they can choose.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to dislike something. I want them to do something what they like. So, and I will support them whatever they choose.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's worked for you, and throughout today meeting you, I can tell how much passion you have for what you do. You know, you smile talking about it. so that's the thing. I think the underlying fact here is that you've only been able to become, you know, a world champion and Britain's champion because you love what you do. You enjoy every part of it. It sounds like you enjoy the training, you enjoy the diet piece. And then you love getting up there and competing.
Oh, I don't enjoy the diet.
You
piece.
don't enjoy it.
I mean, to be honest, diet is a big subject to talk about, because you can go down the route like what diet you do, what calories you eat, what micros you do and stuff. But I think because I've been doing it like since 6 years now, I kind of know what works for me, so I don't need to count the calories. I don't need to count my macros. I know I eat enough protein. I know I eat enough carbs. So everybody is different. And to be honest, I don't understand it that well, and I don't really need to, because I know what works for me. So what actually works for you? So we did talk before, and we talked about the more paleo-based diet, but you also then mentioned a few carbs there as well. So what is it that's working that gives you the best performance? So things like I've got a reasonable understanding of nutrition, but the more I've understood nutrition, the more I've been able to simplify it and just think, oh, actually, just a high protein diet and stick within a certain amount of calories, and pretty much that's enough to perform at my best. And I've done marathons, ultra marathons, and those sorts of things, but it actually comes down to something really basic normally, and many whole foods, lots of vegetables. It's interesting because there's so much information around nutrition, but then it can come back to something so simple, which is just good whole foods, vegetables, lean protein. You know, so what is it works best for you, gets you perform at your best? What you just said. What you just said. It's like cut out the sugar, cut out the crap. I mean, to be honest, I am very lucky that my husband is quite a good cook. I am myself a good cook. So we cook food pretty much every day or every other day, depends how the quantity we cook. And we also cook like good food, like lots of fish, lots of chicken, and we encourage kids to eat that sort of food too. I mean, my son loves potatoes. So we have to have potatoes at home all the time. I mean, I eat potatoes sometimes, but I don't eat too much of it. So, or I eat pizza, but I just don't eat too much of it. So as simple as that.
When Sir James Rush from the gym came on, and we talked a lot about nutrition and calories and diet, and we were quite open and talking about, because a lot of people go to the gym, they want to lose weight. And I don't think people realise for a lot of years it's simply just a calorie deficit, and it's just, you can have all of those foods, it's just how much of that food you have. And even if you have really good foods, if you eat too much of that good food, eat too many oats, eat too many this or that, then it's obviously not going to be great for you. It's just about, you can eat. It's amazing to hear that a world champion is sitting in front of me and actually says, well, I can eat a bit of pizza. It's okay.
It is okay, yeah. I eat cake and everything. Although, like, before the competitions, because, I mean, I'd say my normal walking weight would be about 66, anything between 66 and 68 kilos. Like, it depends time of the year, what it is, like if I'm in a prep season or, but because I'm competing in a lightweight, so in non-tested world, it's 64 kilos, and in tested world, it's 65. So I need to drop down.
So before you compete, you have to drop down to get into that weight. Do you say it's 64?
64 and
right.
No more.
Right.
Or 65 in tested competition.
Right.
So I've got to lose about 3-4 kilos. It depends where I am at each stage. Like when it's summer, you naturally lose a little bit of weight because you don't want to eat hot cooked food. You tend to eat more salads and, you know, that sort of stuff. So I naturally lose a little bit of weight going into the summer or during the summer. But in the winter, I put a little bit more weight because I eat more cooked, warmer foods because it's cold. So you want to keep warm.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, and before these competitions, like sometimes I have to really reduce my calories just to make that cut to be as close as possible. I do the water load, which is, you know, another way of reducing your weight, but I try and be as low as possible food wise. So I sometimes just eat like chicken breast and just bit of salad, just and decrease my calorie intake, maybe like a week before the competition, like go really, really low. But then if you got 2 day, like day before weigh-in, I can go and refeed.
Okay.
So I would go and have some nice meal, still good meal, not pig out because I would get in a pain and because my stomach can't take it.
So when you do a refeed, what's included within that? Because I've heard about bodybuilders using refeeds before, and they go off and eat 12,000 calories and all these cakes and all this sort of stuff. But what does that mean for when you do it?
Yeah, something like that.
Is it really?
Oh, like last time, what did I do? Let's say for the Arnold's, I did a weigh-in, and I went to TGI Fridays, which wasn't my choice, but I just tagged along, and I had some chicken with the sesame oil or whatever it was, like kind of dipping thing, and I had what they called quesadillas.
Quesadillas, yeah.
And the competition before, and then I had a cinnamon bun from
quesadillas. Quesadillas. That's right.
Sorry,
I think we got confused between enchiladas and quesadillas.
Yeah. And then then I had a cinnamon roll from Starbucks as a cake.
Okay.
And before at the Braids, we had 24-hour weigh-in as well, so I could go and eat and whatever I wanted. So I actually went to Nando's. So I had a nice chicken, a little bit of chips and some coleslaw and sweet corn.
So that means you do your weigh-in 24 hours before, and that's the weight. So therefore, in the 24 hours before you're actually training, so that's when you're doing your weigh-in. So therefore, you've got a day where you can kind of eat whatever you want as the refeed, and then you're competing the next day.
Yeah.
Got you.
So to get the strength, I mean, I actually had my body fat measured just before this competition, and I had one done 2 months ago, and it was quite interesting to see that how much muscles I lost leading up to the competition because of the weight cut. It was interesting to see. I've lost about a kilo of the muscle mass.
Really? That's interesting.
It's interesting.
Has your training changed much, or is it just as your training? Because if you're coming into a competition, surely that's intensified. So you've been doing more training.
As it gets closer to the competition, I start lifting heavier and heavier and heavier, and then week before the competition, I kind of back off.
Right.
So I lift heavier, but not as heavy. So my body gets time to recover and get prepared for the competition. But because I'm not eating so much, I lose the weight and I lose naturally the strength a little bit. But then I can go and refeed, so I get that strength a little bit back. So it's natural that people lose a bit of muscle mass if they weight cutting.
Oh, okay.
So
when you said something there which was quite interesting, when you're in your training, if there's a particular weight that you're trying to lift, because obviously when you go into these competitions, like we mentioned earlier, you don't necessarily know what they always are. So you might find out a few months before what it is going to be, and then do you try and lift as heavy as you possibly can during your training up to that point? Is there any points where you're kind of try and mirror what you're going to do on the day, or actually you're trying to lift a bit lighter? Right? I mean, how do you structure that training leading up to like a major competition like Arnold's?
So, as I said, we're going heavier and heavier, and we trying to aim to hit the weight what is in a competition. So let's say we have...
Oh, right. So when you compete, there's a weight that you need to be lifting.
Yes.
Got you.
So I know that ahead. So let's say we had 230 kilos yoke to carry. So I was training yoke for 4 weeks. So every week, my training runs the weight would increase, and trying to get into that weight was a competition. I did try in a training the 230 kilos, but because in a training you don't get the same adrenaline rush as when you compete in, it nearly broke me. It took me 3 days to recover from it. Like Eric Arnold's because of the adrenaline helped me. I'm here like Happy Mary. I'm laughing and all buzzing still. So
That's incredible. So we talked earlier, 4,500 people watching you on stage, and that you talked about the massive impact that had on your performance because there's so much pressure and excitement. But then you think that's helped with your recovery as well in some respects.
I don't know. It was very different. This experience was different because it was longer. We had more time to recover. But when you're training, in there, let's say I did that yoke, let's say in 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So that's 30 seconds of pain. But in my training, I need to build up to that weight. And let's say I'm lifting from 140 to 220 kilos and I keep doing the runs with them. So I actually lift more weight. So I get more fatigued in the training. And I do this for 3 or 4 days a week. So it's going to affect me a bit more. The recovery is going to be longer. So after the competitions, yes, the following day I am tired because it was heavy, but I tend to recover quite faster, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because now yesterday I had day off. Today I've got day off from training just to get my recovery sorted. So I feel fine. Yeah, I've got bruised arms, but it is what it is.
It's exciting. So what does the future look like? So, when you look into, is there any more competitions for the rest of this year? Or
yeah, I did mention, I've got the, because I won the naturals.
Yes.
So I've got to represent Team GB in a teams board championship, which is in Cardiff in November. And then December, I'm doing the Clash Pro Series, which is a qualifier to go to America. So yeah, exciting.
Right.
Which is a paid competition too.
Okay. Oh, so they pay you to go and
It depends.
be on stage and compete.
It depends what you play. Same as Arnold, because it was a pro show, so all the athletes got paid. It depends on your position. As you end it, you get more or less. Strongman is usually not funded, so there is not so much money in it, especially women. But it's getting better. As I said, the non-tested side of it is getting bigger and better. The organizer who organizes these competitions is trying to promote women and getting us into the big competitions or bigger and better competitions. Like this was the first year the UK had a pro women show, which is amazing for the women's sport. And it's huge. People loved it. It was shame they didn't do meet and greet with us because there was loads of people demanding to take, not demanding, but would love to take pictures with the champions, let's say. Like those women lifted enormous weights. Like in my weight category, Rhiannon Lovelace, she is just amazing. She's super strong. She lifts really heavy weights and loads of people and girls look up to her for what she does, So if I'm like that, I would want to get a picture with her, I mean, I'm competitive with her, and I know her, and we talk during the day, and we had a little chit chat. I was in a doing deadlift against her, and my deadlift is 180 kilos for one rep. She's got 280 on a normal.
280.
Yes, she made me look like a muppet.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah, so I did 2 reps. She did 14. Whilst I did 2 reps. She's just very good. So
wow.
So I mean, would you not want a picture with someone like that?
Of course you would, yeah.
Yes. So
these people, kind of your idols as well, aren't they? I mean, they're people that you're looking up to, but they're also getting to compete with. I mean, of course you want to have your photos.
Yeah.
So what were you saying? So therefore, that there was no photos. They weren't allowed to be taken.
No, they didn't.
Do the meet and greet.
They did meet and greet with the men, but not with women. Maybe it's something to look forward to next year. I think next year is going to be even bigger and better, and there will be lots of girls trying to get to this stage. I mean, I'm quite fortunate because I've got one step less. I've already qualified for the Englands, but as we were touching on the money-wise, so not every competition is paid. Like these non-tested, the lower competitions this year, we've had some money prizes. Non-tested competition, there is no money prizes, but they starting to look for. I've seen an announcement for the next year. The champions get paid a hotel, which is less money because it costs lots of money. If I want to go to Finland, it's nearly £2,000, and if you've got to fund every competition, which is anything between 500 to 2,000 pounds is a lot of money a year. And if you're doing 4 to 6 competitions, it goes into your budget big time.
Yeah, of course. And what can you actually win? So what's the purse? What does the budget look like for what can be won in these types of competitions?
It depends. It depends. It depends on the sponsors. It depends on the level of the competition. So let's say Arnold's, we had £20,000 prize pot between the 4 weight categories. So it was £5,000 per weight category.
Yeah.
So obviously when it gets a bit more and then less and less and less. So yeah. In the England round, it was less money. So actually for third place, I got £50. So that actually covered my whole weekend parking. Still better than nothing, but it's quite challenging as well when you don't have sponsors and you have to pay for everything, all your kit, all your training, all your gym memberships, all the travels to the competition. It all adds up. I mean, especially for myself, I struggled last year because obviously my husband's been made redundant and couldn't find a job because of the COVID. It was just a nightmare. And to fund all the competitions, I went to Finland to compete in the World Championships, and I had to create the donation site for people to help me to be able to compete.
Lots of people helped you, didn't they?
Yes. My actually my employer, EC Electronics, they donated me £500.
Okay.
So that was a big chunk. Then a couple of my friends from CrossFit, they've donated £100 each. And there was some not so small sums from other guys as well who really, I really appreciate that they've done that for me, because without them I wouldn't be able to go to Finland. And it's really nice to know that people do support you and they look up to you in this way and want to help you to progress and be better, So it was really nice of them and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, it sounds, when you love what you do as much as you do, no doubt you've got lots of supporters that have helped you along the way. I mean, you've obviously got a great family. Your husband that supports everything that you're doing, and those people at the gym that are supporting as well. So it's great to see you've got some fans that are pushing you on, so therefore you can go off and you can compete.
Yeah, I've got a great fan base, I think, especially locally in Athlete and CrossFit where I train. So yeah, they and they push me, like at the CrossFit. Let's say I usually train at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the class is basically full of boys. So I train with the boys mainly. There's not so many girls doing that time class. I mean, there is some, every so often the girls. So, but I tend to train with the boys more because it pushes me to try harder, because they're naturally stronger than me and better than me. So I'm just trying to catch up with them.
I'm pretty confident you're going to out-train most of the guys.
I can outlift some of the guys there, yes, that's for sure. Same in Athlete, I like to go there. It's different environment again, and not everybody is like me there. Like especially women. I'd like to think I'm the strongest one there, I think. And all them girls, when they see me lifting, they keep shouting at me and, like, come on, we're watching you. And it's so encouraging and it's so nice that they do that for me, especially when they know that I'm trying for personal best or something like that. So they make a laugh of it. So, yeah, it's really good.
I think, like we touched on before, having those people supporting you, cheering you on, it's going to make a difference. Mentally, it's going to make a difference because it just gives you that extra push, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You don't want to let them down, and then from somewhere you get this extra energy.
Yeah, and it's I think because they especially in Athletes, the clients in there, they are more like a family, and they want to see you succeed, and they will try and push you, which is lovely, which is really nice. So yeah, and I appreciate that.
That's good. So looking into the future over the next number of years, what's your hope? What do you think you can get out of the sport? In the next few years, what are your kind of dreams around what you want to get out of it?
Obviously, I am getting a little bit older now. So next year I will turn 40.
Okay.
So
I'd never have guessed that. No way.
yes, next year. Sorry, this is a
Sure.
little bit.
It's okay. You just move it.
A little bit. So yeah, next year I'm turning 40, and in a strongman world, after 40 you can go into the masters category.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do yet, but because I automatically qualified for some of the competitions, so obviously I'm gonna try to get as far as I can next year again. Obviously, the ultimate goal is again to get to the Arnolds, and let's see how the Clash series goes, and naturals, hopefully to defend my title. But I've heard already some of the girls are planning on to enter that competition, so, and I know they are really good, so I've got to have my fingers crossed so I can keep my title. If not, I won't be that upset because I've held it for 4 years, so it's about the time, right? maybe not.
Wow,
I don't know.
So has that been 4 consecutive years you've had?
There was 1 year break because there was a COVID, so
Oh,
the
I see.
competition didn't happen. But if we take the COVID out, yes, it would have been.
So 4 times British natural
Yes.
champion.
Yeah. So, and from there again to go to Finland, but looking at the dates, the World Championship is going to be in Finland. They already announced that for next 3 years, which is early September. And Arnolds are usually end of September, so I don't know. It depends if I qualify. If I don't qualify, I will have to make decisions which suits me better. Yeah, and then I don't know. I was maybe thinking to retire from strongman, because if I compete with under 64s, them girls are maybe 10 years younger than me. You know, I am quite old. I'm one of the oldest ones there. There is one 50-year-old lady competing with me as well. But it's getting really hard, especially for the recovery. And the masters don't have a weight category.
Right.
So I can go against to a lady who is 20 kilos heavier than me. And naturally she will lift more because, you know, she can have more muscles, and, you know, so I don't know. It depends how it works out. If they introduce weight categories in the masters, maybe there is something to think of. Or if they know, I might just, when I stop doing well, I might just pack it in and start concentrating on CrossFit, because I've already been asked by Chris when I'm going to start competing in CrossFit. Because I'm not bad. I mean, there is still some skills I need to develop and learn, but yeah.
So do you think you would compete with CrossFit just like you're doing now? Because I feel like if you weren't out there competing, because you've done this since school, where you've competed as you're doing athletics like you were talking about, and if you don't have this piece, I think you're going to miss something that you love doing. So do you think you would compete as CrossFit?
I think I will. I've done a couple of competitions in the
Oh, you
CrossFit.
have?
Yeah, I have. I have done a mixed pair masters in Colchester, actually, beginning of this year, with my friend. We came third, and I've done. There was not long ago a competition in a Newbury, and I've been asked to fill in for one of the girls. She got a COVID, so I went to compete as a 4-man team, 2 girls, 2 boys. So I did that, and obviously I did NFG games, but NFG games is not too CrossFitty because of there's a bit of strength. It's like a 4 elements. So I did that with my friend in London last year, and I actually doing one in November with another 2 girls in Birmingham.
Oh, so you've already dipped your toe.
Oh yeah.
Very much so. You've already been doing some.
Yeah, I'm not that bad, but strongman is still my priority.
Yeah. Let's talk briefly about the CrossFit piece that you've been doing, because I always think, you know, in those CrossFit competitions, when you turn up, it must be such a mental challenge when you're training for something, but you don't know what the training's going to be for. So, because am I right in saying that on the day, that's when you find out what you're going to be competing in? So you don't necessarily know what the workouts are going to be until you get there on the competition that day, on the CrossFit ones.
every competition I went to, I knew.
Oh, you did?
Yes, this one, what I'm doing in November with two of my friends, we don't know the event, we don't know what the workouts are. But
So you turn up and then you find out when you get there.
yeah, that can be, yeah.
That's tough. So it could be quite a big range.
Yes, it can be anything.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to it because everybody's in the same boat. You either can do it or not.
So how do you train for that? Because leading up to that type of thing, obviously you're doing your strongman competition, you're doing your strongman workouts, you're doing your CrossFit. I mean, you almost have to have an expertise in every movement in some respects.
I don't have an expertise, but I am very fortunate because of my olden athletics days and because of my natural ability to adapt really quickly. I can pick up and learn the movements quite quickly. I don't need to practice it in, day out. I just do it a few times and I pick it up really quickly. I'm just very fortunate. And the same it goes to the strength. I mean, yes, I am quite small. I'd like to think, but I do get asked quite often by people like how you can pick up those weights. You are so tiny, but I can generate that power from my muscles somehow. I'm just very fortunate, I don't, it is what it is. It's just magic.
Yeah. Well, it's also you've been doing this for a lot of years
Yes.
as well. So I imagine that you've got that inner strength that's been built over that period of time. So therefore, when you go on to the next thing, then you've already got all the years of muscle memory that's been there already.
Yeah.
But also then there's just a natural enthusiasm and motivation, I think, that you've got to do it anyway. So you're excited about it.
Yeah, I just want to do well. I just want to learn new skills and I want to be able to do things. I might not be the best, like especially CrossFit. I'm not, I'm nowhere near where I would love to be, but I don't concentrate on it too much because, as I said, strongman is my priority and that's what I need to prioritize when it comes to the training because that's what I'm competing full time, if you want to say it that way right now. So when I stop strongman, then I probably start concentrating more on CrossFit and learn those skills and try and improve them.
So if you were to offer someone advice, so someone's looking at you now thinking, I want to be a world champion just like you, what do they need to do to become a strongman world champion in the way that you've done it? Because it sounds like we talked earlier that you did your first competition in 2016, the Basingstoke competition, and then by 2019 you're now a world champion, and in between that you've had the British strongest women as well, natural strongest women along the journey. So if you're going to give advice to other people watching and they want to achieve what you've achieved, what would you say? What are your top tips?
I would definitely find a good coach who knows what they're doing or who actually has got some experience as a strong man or strong woman person. So like I am very lucky to have James because he's been a strongman competitor himself, so he knows how difficult some of these movements are or how complex they are, and he understands how hard it is to get prepared for each competition, and also being able to deliver the coaching session on technicalities as a coach. So the good coach really helps and also a drive. If you want to do it, you need to put everything in it. You need to have that time and you need to want it. It doesn't happen overnight because to train the strength takes a long time. It doesn't happen overnight. It took me a long time to improve. Like I remember when I lifted 100 kilos deadlift first time, and that was in 2013, and I was buzzing. And now I lift 180 kilos. I mean, yes, I've only improved by 80 kilos, but it's a lot of weight. It took me a long time, but.
And is that mainly through repetition, consistency? Just doing that over a lot of period of times, because of course each week, each month, you're going to make tiny gains.
Yeah, especially that way. Like when you start, you improve really quickly because obviously when you start practicing, you start getting better and better and better. But when you reach your limit, then limit, or when you
there's probably a natural maximum.
natural maximum, and then you just need to start improving it by training. So, and that takes longer time. So naturally you can get so far, and that's why we come into the natural competition and non-tested competition too. So yeah, I'm very proud to get this far, and I just messed it up.
No, you're all good. You're good. You're okay.
No, yeah,
You're saying you're proud to get this far.
Yeah, definitely a good coach, and just willingness to work hard for it.
We should say a quick shout out to James, because James came on the podcast not so long ago and had a great interview with James, and he talked about the gym, inner athlete, and talked a lot about calories and calorie deficit and how to lose weight. So that was a really good one, and I have a lot of time and respect for James for what he's done, but also just the type of training. Everyone speaks highly of James, from that gym, and obviously you speak highly of him as a trainer as well. So you'd say probably the number one thing is you need the passion, the motivation, but then the next thing is to make sure you've got a really good coach who understands it, who's been doing the training, who's gone and competed as well.
Good coach, that would include quite a lot of things, like we've already touched on that. But let's say I'm a female, so obviously there is difference between males and females when it comes to the training. Obviously we get periods and all that bit. In my previous coach, obviously when women goes through the cycle, their hormones changes, and obviously it affects the training. Let's say when woman is ovulating, they are in their strongest. When they having a period, because of the hormones, they're lowest. So you shouldn't be trying for lifting personal best and stuff like that.
Okay.
I just put in a wake, so people understand it. So before I said to my, I know that James is very good with this, because obviously I follow Farah and he worked with the Farah, and they were big about the women part of like training and that sort of stuff. And my previous coach, I said to him, I don't feel very well, I've got, let's say, period. And then he was like, I don't want to know. But I said to James, and James designed my training plan to be so I lift when I'm the strongest, not when I'm the weakest. So
he's optimized your training based on your lifestyle and everything else that's going on with your body.
Yeah.
But what does that mean then in terms of when you're competing? So if there's a tournament,
it's tough.
Yeah. What happens if it's one of your weakest at a time when you're weakest because of where you are in your cycle?
It's tough.
Wow.
It's tough.
Because I didn't know that about one's time being stronger than the other.
Yeah. It's tough. It actually happened to me a few times that I came to the competition and it happened be time of the month. I still PB'd. But it's different, because when you're in a competition, you've got this adrenaline running through you. So it's completely different than when you're in a training. There are days when I come to train and I'm thinking like, I am so fatigued, and 100 kilos on a bar feels like 150. And sometimes I come to training and 150 just flies up. So it's amazing how the body works, and especially when it's under so much adrenaline going through your body. And you can lift, but it's not ideal, but you can't choose when the competition happens, right?
This is it. And any other advice you give to someone else watching and think that they want to compete at this kind of level? Any other advice that you'd be offering to people or suggesting?
Definitely try a few local competitions, like little competitions, to see how they get on. And maybe just go and see people like myself, James, or Farah. Farah's got a gym now. She specializes on just the women. I must say James is amazing. And I'm so happy I went to see him. And yeah, just give it a try. I'll tell you this funny story. I went to watch a local competition a few weeks back, and there was one lady, she works with my sister, and they were talking about me, and my sister said, oh yeah, my sister, blah, blah, blah. And my sister rang me and she was like, "Is that lady there?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, go and say hi to her." So I went to say hi to her, and bless her, I said, "Oh, hi, I'm, you such and such." She was like, "Yeah, I'm Tatiana," and she started bowing at me. She was like, "Oh,
Oh,
I'm so happy to meet you," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is weird."
I
yeah,
suppose
she
people have respect for you.
yeah, she was like, "Oh, you are my idol. I want to lift the weights like you are." So I think, it made me feel good for making somebody's day. But I would definitely go and either speak to one of the girls if you've got opportunity, like if it's a local one, or if you meet somebody in a competition, and just say hi. It's like we will talk to anybody, we will give advice, and definitely find a coach, try the competition local or in a gym. Some gyms, I know there was in a house gym competition in a complete performance, like a strong man. So just give it a try, see.
You
You know.
mentioned before the community being, it's a community that is very supportive and of each other. So do you think that people are approachable? Because sometimes world champion, British champion, I'd be intimidated to come and chat to you about those sorts of things. But do you find people are very approachable and they're quite open to supporting and giving guidance and helping people on their journey?
Yes, they are. Well, most of them. I actually had pretty bad experience too, when I got completely ignored. But most of the girls, they give you advice. Like I follow lots of the girls on Instagram and Messenger and Facebook, and obviously they know who I am. I know who they are. And sometimes when I've got questions, I just message them, and they give me. I was buying the suit, let's say, for the deadlift, and I've messaged few girls who I knew who had the suit for the advice, and all of them came back to me except one.
Okay.
So yeah, it's if we can, we will help. I mean, there was girls ask me for advice, and I've sent them a message straight back, like, this is what I think, this is what I've done, this is how it is, or and they can take whatever they want from it. It's supportive. Like the guys, and I went to watch the guys compete from inner athletes, and I think it made them feel good too, knowing that I was there watching, because it's quite funny because they were talking about these girls another day, like, oh yeah, Chloe Brennan and such and such, Shannon Clifford. They are one of the girls. I mean, I look up to them too. One of the top girls in a country, um, and I said to them, hey, excuse me, what about me? And they were like, oh yeah, we forgot about you, but we see you every day. It doesn't come the same to us. So I think it helped them, or it made them feel better for me to come and watch them, because I was like, I'm watching you, and they're like, yeah. So yeah, it made me feel good as well. It made me feel proud that them girls acknowledged that I was there supporting them. So I mean,
Why do you think you love it so much? So I know when we mentioned about your schooling and you were kind of more into athletics all those years ago, but now is it because you're good at it? Is that one of the reasons why you like it so much? I mean, is there, because it's really clear that you really love doing this, and sometimes it's so hard to find. So many people are kind of lost. They're trying to find the thing that they might be their cause, or what's meaningful, purposeful for their life. But it sounds like you've fallen in love with something. Like, do you know why? What is it that's attracted you to it?
I don't know. I always loved the sport, and yeah, you're probably right. I like winning. Who doesn't like winning? I wouldn't say I'm the best. I'm one of the best in a country now, I think.
Well, you've been 4 times British natural strongest woman, so I think you're definitely the best in the country if you've
Yeah,
done that.
I think I've put my name on the map, or how, I don't know how you say it, but I'm pretty sure people know of me now. It's just good feeling to be able to achieve something like that, and also lifting such a huge weight. I don't know. I just love being recognized for the hard work. I mean, sometimes I hate training because I'm fatigued. I don't want to lift it. I feel just too tired. And it's tiring, training as much as I do. I try and squeeze squeeze the training in when I can, because if I go all the time in the world, I'd probably be living in a gym if I could. But yeah, I just love it. And whilst I can do it, like when I get old, I'll probably be sitting at home and knitting the, you know, I don't know, socks or little cardigans or something. you know, whilst I've got time, I will try and do it. And I'm not bad, you know. I'm still automatically qualifying. I'm bringing home trophies. So why should I stop?
Yeah. Well, exactly. And keep going as long as you can. Because I think if there's something that you love doing, and whether it's strongman or it ends up being CrossFit, or, you know, it's all part of a bigger thing. And, you know, anything fitness wise, I just think the more you can do, the better.
It makes me feel good, you know, when you come home with the little trophy. It makes you feel good that you have achieved something, that you've been recognized for your hard work. It's good. I've got a little cabinet full of trophies at home.
You should have brought some in. It would have been great to have seen some of
Yeah,
those.
I posted a photo and then I actually got asked, like, oh, don't you need a new shelf, or have you got enough space for that many trophies? So yeah, it makes me feel good, you know, and it's also nice being able to talk about it, because every trophy's got a story. Every competition, I remember every competition and every trophy, what I've done wrong or if I've done something right, or, you know, every trophy's got a story.
On this journey that you've gone on, what are the mistakes you've made? Because in any journey you make mistakes. What things would you do differently if you looked at this journey again?
Definitely practice events more sometimes. Not to rely on being okay, like, oh, I get by or something, you know. Just practice. I don't know what else. With the strongman is very unpredictable and unpredictable. Anything can happen. You know, the equipment can be different to what you train, so you might pick it up wrong, you might do mistake there, or, you know, it's very unpredictable. Like what happened to me this weekend, I knew I could take that yoke there and back without dropping it, but because the flooring was slightly different, it threw me out, and I had to drop it. Same with the farmers.
Right.
They were really big, like sideways, and I've picked it up and the plates bounced against each other, and it kind of threw me out. So I had to slow down, so I couldn't go as fast. So it's unpredictable. Anything can happen. Another day in a competition, I was doing farmer's walk, and one of the girls who was going against me, she just wanted to beat me. She was super fast. She was really, really good. But she just started going way too fast, so she planted it. Bless her, she fell over. So
No.
anything can happen. And that way, because she fell over, I beat her, so I got a better scores. So it's just, you never know. You know, you just can go in the competition and do what you can and adapt really quickly. Sometimes you have to think in split second, like this, you know, I have to change this, I have to change the technique, like I have to amend this. It's a lot of it is also how do you call it, tactical games. Tactical?
Oh, mind games. Like
no,
tactics.
Tactics, yeah. Because it's like I was in Finland and we were doing a log press for the reps. It was 60 kilos, and fortunately I went last. So I knew how many repetitions I needed to get for the first place, for second place, or third place, or whatever it was. So I went to lift, and I'm thinking like, okay, I needed 6 repetitions, which was lifting 200 kilos in total overhead. And I'm thinking, am I going to kill myself? So I've made a decision, and I only did bare minimum to be second in that event, because I knew the girl who beat me in a log had a lower deadlift personal best, so I knew I could beat her on there. So I thought, like, I'm not going to waste my energy and lift extra 200 kilos, and I'm going to preserve my energy. So you need to use lots of tactics, but sometimes you can make a wrong calls, which I've done in the past, trying to play safe, and it backfires because you haven't done better and you lose points.
And is that those tactics? Is that more from experience? You've been able to just to
Yeah.
look at it and think, actually, I'm going to hold back here because I know I can push more later. But I guess you can only get that through experience of doing, these competitions time and time again.
Yeah, it's also a research, knowing what the other competitors are able to do.
Oh, really? So you would research into the
Well,
people you're
not research,
competing
you
with?
stalk them.
I think
Yes, you
that's still
stalk
called
them.
research. But
Well, yeah, let's call it research. Some of them are your friends, so they post naturally their training videos. So you going into the competitions which you would know. I tend to not to post so much nowadays because obviously my Facebook and my Instagram account is mixed with the private stuff, so I don't post too much stuff in there. I do like a breakdown when I'm coming to the competition, just like highlights of my training just before the competition, so people roughly know. But some girls like to post, and then
so by them posting, that means that's giving you information, which is what they're lifting and their PBs, and
yeah,
so that's actually giving you.
heads up, like I need to up my game, or I can get away with. It's good strong men or strong women. They should know their competition, and they can plan on what they need to do to win the competition or do well, or like I go into every competition knowing which my weak events are and which are my good events. So I know I can lift heavy deadlift, but I'm not the best deadlifter. So I know deadlift is not my strong event. I get by. I'm a kind of middle of the pack. But when it comes to, let's say, overhead, I'm quite good. Or moving events, I'm quite fast. But I've messed it up this weekend. Both of them got in. But yeah, hey ho, still came forward. Managed to redeem myself on those stones. So so you can't rely on, like I did, that yes, I am good at moving events, that I'm going to smash them, but I didn't. And it nearly costed me. So yeah, you need to do a little bit of research. So that's another thing with the strongman. You need to be very tactical, knowing where to go harder, knowing where you need to go. You can get away with, backing off a little bit.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's not something you actually naturally think about.
No.
Because you think actually most of the training will be in, the physical piece. Obviously we talked about diet before, keeping your diet as clean as you can, but then there's then on the training side, you're just lifting heavy and but you don't really think about the intelligence side, which is you need to understand your research because to apply the right tactic on the day.
Yeah, but sometimes some of them ladies, I mean, they come, they post their PBs and stuff, and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, that person can lift more than me. And when it comes to the competition, they crumble. They can't lift the same weights. And it happened to me a few times when I lifted more than somebody who I was afraid that they're gonna beat me. So yeah, it's you need to think on your feet. Like it's a game plan as well. It's not just like I'm gonna do my best. Sometimes you can, as I said, back off, but sometimes you have to push. So if you want to win, you have to push.
So why do you think it is on for some of those people that have they can do a PB outside of the main competition, but when actually you get to the day, but they can't perform as well? Is it the pressure? Is it the people? Is it the event? The fact that things are different?
I think it's also experience. Like
Right.
I go to the competitions and I can be very composed. Like I have bad event, but it won't throw me out. I was very upset this weekend because day 2 I started really badly. But I still knew what I had to do and I was still concentrated. It didn't throw me out, but I was still concentrating on what I have to do. And sometimes I've seen people not being able to lift what they were expecting to lift or placed really badly in an event and it completely threw them out. So they were coming to the next event and they messed it up because they were too consumed by the either anger or, stress that they've not done so well. It affected their next performance. So, and for me, I'm very fortunate because I've got lots of years of experience of competing. I mean, athletics, I was on my own. If I did a mistake, it was my own fault. I couldn't blame my coach because I was the one jumping or running over those hurdles. So that's what makes me I think, better athlete because I can compose myself really quickly, even though I had bad event. And I can concentrate on it. That just doesn't throw me out, you know.
What state are you looking to achieve? Are you looking to be calm, or are you looking to be het up and aggressive, or how do you perform the best?
I can't be aggressive. I'm not an aggressive person. You know, sometimes you see these people like, yeah, I'm gonna lift. That's not me. That's me. I'm just focused, laser focused. I get stressed like before the competition starts. Like this weekend, I was like, I'm panicking. I actually seen girls in there. They were having panic attacks before they came out on the stage. It was huge. It was nerve wracking. Like I was there, like little girl, like shaking. It was amazing. What was the question?
So what do you do to get into the right mental state? Because especially if you're performing at Arnold's 4,500 people, and what we were talking about before was that, you know, just the day that the event can really get on top of someone, and then you can't lift your PB. So what state are you trying to be in? So you talk to them trying to be focused and quite calm, actually.
Calm, yeah.
Interesting.
But then also, like, let's say Arnold, so we had the deadlift first, and I was panicking because I was against the world strongest woman, world record breaker in deadlift, and that is a huge pressure. Like, I knew she's going to be repping it like no one's business, and I was there like hoping for more than one repetition. So I was very stressed. But then I came off the stage, and then we had a little bit of time, so we started talking. I was very calm, and all that calmness and just chit chat and having a good time and talking, that made me feel better and more relaxed. I mean, not jelly like when you go in lifting, but relaxed, like eased the pressure I was putting myself under, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then it just kind of gone, and I was happy, smiling, joking. I mean, we were going up. What did we go up for? One of the events, and we were literally dancing behind. It was behind the stage. There was little steps, and we were just shouting and stuff. So it was quite funny.
It's probably one of the best states to be in, which is a bit joyful, a bit jovial, because or else I guess the pressure could really get on you. And it's just it's you know, knowing that you're about to be seen by 4,500 people, knowing, you know, you've been training, you know, weeks, months for these events, and possibly you know, I can imagine a lot of people would really struggle when you actually get to the day. I
mean, if you see all my videos, I was just there smiling, like coming out, smiling, big smile on the face. I was just happy. It was really good mind state to be at, like not putting yourself under the pressure, not stressing about something, you know, because that's where you tend to do mistakes or things go wrong because you put in too much pressure on yourself.
Do you see some people go up there and they go in on a different type of mindset, so they're going in more aggressive, and therefore do you think they can still perform as well, or do you think it's just a personal?
I think it's the preference. I think it works for some people when they get wind up for it. I'm not that. I'm not that type. I don't like it. No. I don't like if somebody comes and starts slapping my shoulders like, "Come on, let's go." It's not my thing.
No,
it's not. I like to be collective and focused.
Yeah, I'd find that frustrating. I'd get off.
Yeah. It works for some people. You know, it hypes them up. So, like, makes them perform better, maybe.
Is there anything else you would do to kind of optimize your performance? Because we've talked a bit about diet, we've talked about your training rate regime, we talked about having a great coach. What else would you do to try and optimize and get you really, really match fit?
Definitely recovery. I've got a really bad habit of going to bed quite late.
Ah, do you? Okay,
yes.
You're a night owl.
I don't go to bed that late, but I wish I could go
How late?
earlier. Anything between 10 and 11, sometimes a bit later.
Okay, but you're training early as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I get up at well, my alarm goes off about 10 to 6.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, as I said, it's not easy with the children because obviously they are a bit grown. I can't send them to bed at 7 o'clock, so we try and get them to bed to go to bed at 8 o'clock. But my two like to faff, and it takes them about half an hour to get ready for the bed. So by the time they go to bed and I want to go and sit down and maybe watch some program or something, you know, by the time I start watching it and everything and I finish watching, it's nearly 11 o'clock. So yeah, I'm very guilty of
That's not too bad. 11's not too bad. I thought you were going to say 1, 2.
yeah, but when you're training twice a day, like you've got
You need a
super mental, you know what the CrossFit workouts are sometimes, you know, like
brutal.
yeah. So sometimes it's brutal in the morning, sometimes it's super heavy in the evening, and I really should concentrate more on a recovery than and especially sleep than, you know, watching TV till late.
The thing is, if you've got into that circadian rhythm where that's the time of bed you go to, you know, it's time you go to bed, then you don't want to be going to bed lying there, because that's probably also just as frustrating.
Yeah, sometimes I finish training 8 o'clock in the evening, or you know, and
So your body needs time to
unwind.
calm down.
Yeah, it takes me to time. Like I come home, I sometimes have a dinner, then I have a cup of tea, then I go to have a shower, or you know, because sometimes I go straight have a shower, and then have dinner, and it's still quite late. I need to wait till my food goes down and till I actually unwind from the training session. So yeah, it's hard. All the children, all the, you know, to fit everything in. I wish the days got more hours.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I mean, you're getting up early, you're training, you've got a big session in the morning that you're doing CrossFit, and then in the evenings you're doing the strength sessions, the strongman sessions, and then are you training much at the weekend, or is it you train
Only in the mornings, but not usually. I take Sunday off, but.
By then you've done like 10, 12 sessions during the week.
I used to do more. I used to do like 10 to 12. Now I'm down to 5, 6, anything between 8 and 10. So I do less now than I used to, because obviously I had the spin. I had to coach it, and when I'm on a bicycle, I can't just sit and shout there. I had to do it. I loved it. You know, when you get music playing loudly.
Spinning's great.
Oh, I love it. So
you take spinning classes now? You teach spinning classes now?
I used to teach, but I had to kind of give it up a little bit. Oh, well, the one I could coach, the time-wise, the other coach could only coach, if that makes sense. So I was happy to give it up. So I can go still and coach when somebody's off sick, or when somebody's on holiday. I can pick up the shift and go and coach. But at the moment, it's just too much. So I concentrate on my training.
You're amazing. It's so to think you've got, you know, your family at home, which you've got to look after and spend time with, and then you've got your work as well, and then you've got all these training sessions. There's just so much on. It's just so much. It's full on all the time.
Yeah, when I prepare for the competitions, I cut down the training, especially the strength training. I do it only 4 times a week, so because it's super heavy and it takes me time to recover. So I tend to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, super heavy. And if I have stones in a competition, I would go to Elite Bodyworks. They've got a platform and everything in there. So I would go on Sunday morning when there's not many people there, so I can train. So I would go there. Or Saturday I would go to James's and finish off my day 4 training. So I tend to have one day heavy, one day off, one day heavy, one day off. So I get time to recover, so I can get prepared better.
What are you doing on your days off? You're still training, but I imagine you're just going slightly lighter. So it's more like active recovery.
I still do CrossFit,
Yeah.
or sometimes I go 5K rounds or something like that. I haven't been a long time because I wheel the sofa on my little toe, so it still hurts. So I can't run at the moment. Or and I would take kids out for walks, or I would take my sister's dog and we would go for a walk with kids somewhere. Yeah, and when I'm in Slovakia on the holidays, we do quite a lot of hiking because it's mountains, and yeah, I love hiking.
Where does cardio come into all of this? Because if you're doing so much with weights and then you need to have recovery and all that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you do too much cardio along with this, isn't that going to tell you about more, maybe lose some muscle mass? I don't know if you obviously doing the CrossFit, there's it's all resistance still as well. So, I mean, would you be doing runs and cycles and those sorts of things? Does the endurance piece, does that help or hinder you in this
I
situation?
loved cardio.
Yeah.
I
Do
love
you?
body weight stuff. I loved it. I actually got pretty bad at it right now.
Right.
I've actually noticed, obviously I've done boot camps for 7 years and went to the CrossFit, and I was very good, I'd like to think, in the cardio, but obviously all the COVID kicked in. We haven't been doing so much cardio. I stopped doing boot camps, and I can feel that I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I am much stronger now than I used to be. But with the CrossFit, it's a mix of cardio and mix of heavy weights, or like lots of body weight movements, especially like pull-ups and chest to bars and things like that. But I like CrossFit because the workouts are not so long, so I wouldn't class it as cardio, if
Well,
that makes sense.
when I was doing CrossFit before, some of the sessions might only be 15 or 20 minutes. So therefore, you're hard at it for that period of time, but it's not like a long cardio session. And I'm, I've been doing marathons and things like that. So, that's when I'm like, I'm going to go out for a 2-3 hour run. That's a cardio session, or spinning is you do an hour on the bike. That's a proper cardio session. But I've never really put CrossFit into cardio that much. I know you might do and some of the workouts you might do like a mile run at the beginning or at the end, but it's like a sprint more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, the spin used to be 45 minutes, but it still was gross sometimes. But the 5K runs, I do it just because I like it. It's more like active recovery, but then I can't go slow.
I can't.
I want to be better and better and better, Like, come on, show me a strong woman who can run 5K in less than 25 minutes. I'm not saying my PP is 25, but, not many. And I like that element because also if you're training, let's say cardio, which taps in with the endurance, for the strongman you need endurance. When you've got to rep stuff for 60 seconds, sometimes those 60 seconds seems like really long time. And when you have to be lifting like a semi-heavy weight, which you can keep repping, you need that endurance. So that's where the cardio comes in. So I'm quite happy to train cardio because I know I need it for some of these events. Like when it comes to the 1 rep max, it's different, it's static strength. But when it comes to repping things, you do need endurance.
So that cardio actually is a real advantage for you. If you're good at it, you can enjoy it, and therefore you've got that on your side.
Yeah,
it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, that's why I said the CrossFit really complements my strength training. I've improved, like last 3 years, I've improved in every way. Not so much cardio though.
And you can do the 5K in under 25?
Now I haven't run for a long time, but I did it in 22.5 minutes.
Okay, that's a very good time.
Yes,
it's very, very fast.
Yeah.
Have you done much running?
Not lately because I've been prepping for the competitions, and as I said, my toe was
your
hurting. Yeah, but I'd like to get back to it. I love to run. around the hospital there's that wooden kind of.
Yeah,
there's like a wood thing, and all the way around the hospital, and it's quite soft. It doesn't. Your joints don't take too much bashing from the hard surface. So I like to run there, but it's kind of up and down. Obviously, I live in a Sherborne, so I go to the back roads, to the fields. That can be quite nice. Sometimes I go on a track when I want just flat surface. I used to run in Chinham. There's quite up and down. So yeah, I like it. I hate it, long distance running, but during the lockdown or after the lockdown, I got into the 5K runs. So I kind of enjoy it because I was getting better and better and better, and you want to improve, right, with every run. So yeah, I enjoyed it. But I can't do more than 10K because it's just too much. My hips don't like it.
The thing is, during COVID, the gyms were closed, weren't they? So that's when I really got into running because there was nothing else to be into, to be honest. You get some trainers, go outside. That's all there was because the gyms were closed. Yeah. So is that when you were doing more running then?
Yeah, I remember my first run was actually about 27 minutes on the field, but it was like it was on a field. It was like cross country. Cross country is completely different to on a track, and then I just started improving, and I started getting into it. I used to go for loads of bike rides. I had some some equipment at home, so I did workouts at home, but mainly CrossFit workouts. Every so often I did the strength because I don't like doing strength on my own. But these cardio kind of fast-paced workouts, I don't mind doing on my own.
Yeah.
But and also, it's hard when you're doing strength training on your own and you're lifting heavy. You sometimes need help, like spotting and stuff. So
I was going to say, you need someone there, I'd have thought, because I mean it's a lot of weight you're lifting. You need a spotter, or you need someone to support, right?
yeah, and obviously my equipment at home is not high spec, so if I dropped it, it would break. Probably. But it got me by, during the lockdown. So I came out actually quite strong after the first lockdown.
So how did you keep up with your training during lockdown? Because, we're talking about 2 lockdowns. It's a lot of time. If you're going to the gym twice a day, different types of training, you can only really replace that with a bit of a run and then some home equipment, which, how have you come out of that as strong or stronger? What have you been able to do?
Lots of repetitions.
Yeah.
Lots of press-ups, lots of sit-ups, lots of squats.
So you went to body weight?
I had lots of like clean, skipping, because I was following CrossFit workouts. So that was lots of repetitions. And obviously they were designed about limited equipment at home. But I tell you, I came out and I was a beast. Not so much now.
Really?
And then, just... It was hard because after the first lockdown, it was when the second one happened. Was that Christmas time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. I can actually remember it now because it was. I did my first ever live interview just like this the day before we went into lockdown. That's why I was allowed to do it. So I remember remember it was just like a couple of days before Christmas, 22nd, 23rd, something like that.
So before then, I actually had a surgery.
Okay.
So I could not train, so I actually quite enjoyed having a second lockdown at home because I was recovering from the surgery.
Yeah.
And then I just came back, started training, and got back to it. So interesting times.
It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah,
it really has.
Lots of happens, like injuries. Like after that first England I entered, I damaged my AC joint. So it took me about 2-3 months till I started training again because I was in so much pain.
So during that time, you didn't train at all?
Yes, I was training a little bit, but mainly squat or, just legs on the machines and things like that.
Something.
Yeah, just something, but not lifting heavy, not pulling. And then I just got back and got stronger and better. But, they say it, like when you injure yourself because you're going through your rehab and everything, you actually come back stronger because you're concentrating on that weak part of the body, whatever you injured. So, yeah.
How do you mentally deal with that? Because being an athlete as you are, and wanting to train and wanting to push yourself, but being held back by an injury, does that affect you mentally? Because I can only imagine you'd be frustrated and stressed, and I would be moody around the house. It would be if you can't get out and train because you need that release.
It's very frustrating, but I would always find something to do. What I can do, like when I had my shoulder, I did definitely take like 2 to 4 weeks time off, like completely from training. I was just at home doing my day-to-day activities, and then after about 4 weeks, I found a gym where I could train on the machines, so where I wasn't using my shoulder, so just the legs. So yeah, and then I went there maybe twice a week or once a week, and that was it.
So you still just made sure you're doing something. Just so you almost sounds like you've kept up the same times. You still went in the morning. Do you still go in the evening as well? Do you still keep it?
No,
like
it was only once.
Right.
I mean, I did definitely take complete time off. But yeah, it was hard. It was frustrating. Like I wanted to train, I wanted to come back, but I knew I couldn't. I needed to heal myself first before I came back, because if you're not healed, you can't start training because you just get hurt again and again, and then it can go even worse.
Well, no, it says those. And was this injury? Was this through lifting, or was it happen in a different way?
I was carrying. It was a duck walk, the thingy, and it's between your legs, and you walk around it, and it was. It was on a field, and there was a little dip, and I went through that dip. So the duck thing started to swing.
Okay.
And as I was heading towards to the finish line, I kind of swung it, and I forgot to let go, and I held it, and then that thing was 90 kilos heavy. I was 63 kilos then, and it pulled me down, and I landed on my shoulder. So I didn't get it past the line, so I had to stand up, swing it again, get it past the line, and then just went into agony, and I had to retire from the competition.
Oh,
It was
wow.
I was absolutely upset because I was doing so well. I still came fifth in that event, even though that I fell over. So yeah.
You nearly swore then as well. It sounds like how frustrated you were.
No, it's just like I couldn't find the right word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know. If you love something, you just come back to it and keep going. You're good.
It's amazing how much you've fallen in love with doing this. Considering, you know, if you to think, I don't know, 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, you know, when you were going and you were training and doing different things there, but you know, back then you didn't know you loved this.
No.
And it's only almost by chance that you fell in love with it because of the gym that you started going to.
Yeah.
And the environment that you were subjected to. And it's just crazy because you just don't know.
No, you don't. I mean, I do fall out, you know, every year. Like every year I say, oh, I've had enough, you know, like especially when you've got a long season, and, you know, even though I start slightly later because I don't have to do the qualifying rounds most of the years. But it's just a long season, like from, let's say, May, June till October. Now, this year I'm on till December. It's a long time just keep prepping for the competitions. And I don't really have like off season, or you do have off season, but it's like still preparation for the next season. So I was quite happy when we had lockdown because I took a year off.
Okay.
There was only a few competitions that happened, and then we went back into the second lockdown. So there was only like one round happened. So I was actually quite happy that I didn't enter it because I needed that break. I needed to recharge my batteries and get my mojo back, if that makes sense. Because you do get tired of it. You know, it is very challenging, even though I have 4 or 5 competitions a year, but it's lifting heavy weights for 6 months or, you know, whatever it is, it's challenging. You do need to kind of time off, like go to the gym and enjoy doing something like, let's say, CrossFit. And that's why I like doing a CrossFit as well, because I keep it, it's not same.
Well, every day is different with CrossFit, isn't it?
Yeah, every day is CrossFit, different at CrossFit. But if I do just the strength training, I wouldn't like it as much because it keeps
variety. You need the variety.
Yes, that's why I need. That's why I used to like doing spin classes as well, because it was completely different. You know, it took me away from just doing the strength, and it made me more exciting to come back to do the strength. Same with CrossFit. I like CrossFit, but then I like to do my strength training too, because I keep switching from one to another, so it's not always the same.
I think variety is probably the most, because if there's something that you love doing, so I love training, I love going to the gym. I've done all sorts of, you know, whether it's marathons or CrossFit or weightlifting or whatever in my time. And actually, if I had to focus on just one of those, that would bore the hell out of me. But the fact that I get to do all of them, you know, and now because I've been training for so long, you know, you can define your own plan. One day I might go for a run. The next day I might do a heavy session. I say heavy, it won't be anything like yours.
I don't do heavy every day.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the one thing I love about training is just the variety that you can have.
Yeah.
And actually, I think you need the variety.
I believe you need the variety because it gets It gets, as you said, it gets boring. Like I am itching to get out and go for a 5K run. But I can still feel my toe, so I don't want it to start hurting again. So that's why I'm not going. But I would love to go for that run, you know.
Yeah.
But I love the variety. Yes, I like to do different things. That's why I like to do CrossFit competitions, because it's completely different, you know, and it keeps me interested. Like I do CrossFit, and then I go back to my strongman and spin class. It's important not to get bored of it. So It's
How,
important to do different things.
how important do you think fitness is in sort of just general life? And with your children, are you going to encourage them to sort of go on this? You mentioned earlier that one's more into history, and then one's one's more sporting. But do you think it's important that they have an interest in fitness?
As I said, I'm not going to push them in. I'd like them to choose what they want to do. And when it comes to the sport, I will always support them. I think it's important for them, and also I am actually noticing it. Like if they not active enough, they don't sleep.
Really? Oh, because they don't burn off the energy.
Yeah,
They
yeah. So
struggle with sleeping.
if they're active, they happy to go to bed and they just fall asleep right away. But if they're not active, they don't sleep, and it really frustrates me because I know how important it is to sleep, and also I know how important it is for children to move, because obviously you get. Yeah, I would love them to do some sort of sport and follow with my steps. It doesn't have to be strongman. It doesn't have to be athletics. Just something, so they can create some sort of hobby for themselves. Yeah, I mean, my son another day said, "Oh, I would love to do gymnastics or something." I was like, "Oh yeah, you are a little bit too old for it now." Bless him. But yeah, I don't know. Then he kind of stopped talking about it. Now he wants to do swimming and badminton. So I'm happy about that.
I think as long as there's something.
Something, yeah.
My
something.
dad always said to me, he said, my dad's did really well in rugby. He's like, he didn't care whether I did rugby or not, but as long as I did something. And I think that's just the main thing is just, I can't talk more positively about fitness and just how massive an impact that's had in my life, and, people like yourself, and how big an impact that has, because I think your overall happiness is really dependent on fitness in some respects.
It is. Well, it does release the good feel hormones, right? I remember when I was little, little younger, 13, 14, when I went to primary school, me and my sister, we did athletics and volleyball. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday we had volleyball, and Tuesday and Thursday we had athletics clubs for 1 hour after school, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember my mum came and she was like, she was asking us like, where are we going? How are we going for training? And she actually told us off for going back to school, training every day of the week. She was like, oh, do you have to train, always, or, and it's quite interesting because I actually want my children to do something, and I loved it. It was something to get me. It was something for me to do. Both, because those days there was no iPhones, there was no computers. I grew up in a family where we didn't have extra money. We couldn't afford a lot of stuff. We were okay, but I didn't have any luxuries when I was young. I went to the sports school. I never had, what was it called? Good make trainers like Nikes or Adidas or anything like that. My mom used to work for Army, and they could buy stuff for themselves and the families, and the Army made the contract with Reebok, so I had the Army trainers. And now my schoolmates, they were laughing at me because I was not wearing Nikes or Reeboks or Adidas clothing or something like that, but I always beaten them in a competition. So it's not always what you wear, it's how good you are. And, so I think it really made me to be humble about things as well, because it's not important in what you wear and how much money you wear. I mean, money plays quite a big role, because when I did athletics, there was no money in athletics, like compared to football. In the football is lots of money, not so much in athletics. So we had to fund everything ourselves. But if you're good at something, just keep doing it. That's what I would say, really. And it makes me a little bit sad that there is not so much money in it, and then other people sometimes make laugh of you because you can afford things, or you can't pay, or you can't have good make trainers or clothes, let's say, what I like about, let's say, England, for example, in the schools, you have to wear uniform, so everybody is the same. In Slovakia, it wasn't like that. And there was lots of guys who used to laugh at me, and now they message me on Facebooks and Instagrams like, oh, wow, look at you, where you got to. So, yeah.
Do you think any of that drove you forward? Because I always find that things that happen to you in your childhood actually helps, so in some respects, helps define who you then end up becoming, because you might retaliate against that, or, you know, I'm going to prove those wrong, or I'm going to follow these dreams anyway. Do you think that because people were saying certain things about you or whatever, I mean, who cares what sort of trainers you're wearing, you know, that like that at that age? But do you think that drove you on in any way?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't think. No, it was more about my strong woman journey was because I always liked the sport and I wanted to try it, and I always liked sport and I just wanted to do something, try something. It wasn't really me redeeming myself for what happened to me in the past, because I was always naturally kind of talented, if you know what I mean. Like, I didn't need to train so much and I still was quite good, or, you know, average, or, you know.
Well, yeah, because you were winning some competitions in school.
Yes,
so.
yes. I actually, as mentioned, didn't I? I went to World Championship in Germany, representing Slovakia in a junior World Championship, field championship.
Wow, I didn't realise that. So you did that at the schooling level?
Yeah, I was
Wow.
15 years old. It was 15, 16-year-olds, and I was 15 at that time. So I represented Slovakia
Okay.
in there. I went to Slovenia. There was team European Championship, so I went there to represent Slovakia in athletics. So yeah, I've been not that bad, but
Well, you're very humble. You're very humble.
yeah, that's what taught me. Not having a money, stay humble, not go. I just don't like it. I don't like people picking on other people.
No.
You know, just because you don't have extra £10 in your pocket to buy better trainers, you know, it doesn't mean that you're rubbish. If that makes sense.
Well, of course it does. And you know, you world's strongest natural woman. You know, 4 times, you know, UK, Britain's natural strongest woman, and you're still incredibly humble. you still love the journey. You still love doing it. It's been really wonderful speaking to you.
Yeah,
it's been so interesting, and I'm sure anyone else who wants to achieve what you've achieved is going to find this useful and very inspiring, that you've been able to achieve so much in your career.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, it was a long journey. I just love sport. I love to be doing something, you know. I'll be sitting on my bum later.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure.
Welcome.
And appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and learn all about your sporting activities.
Yeah, it was my pleasure too.
Pleasure. All right, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.